Hi there. My name is Dean Edmonds. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. We're here in Butler, Pennsylvania today. We were invited many times and finally came down with Logan's hot rod here. This is a 1969 A100 Dodge van. My son Logan has cerebral palsy. He's 21 years old now. We're all motorheads, the whole family from day one. All the uncles and everybody around has always been in the cars. I have a 71 Super B that we like to take to car shows and drag races and stuff, but Logan was getting big enough to the point where I needed to build him something that we could go to these kind of events and take him in his chair. So a few years ago, I dreamed up this van here, and I had bought one out of Iowa, and it was junk. It was way too rusty to build, so I measured it and made sure I could do what I wanted to do. I bought this van out of Florida in 2016, and I was restored pretty much on the outside the way you see it, but we drove it for a few months. I worked a bunch of bugs out of it. It was a fresh restoration and just kind of did some quick work on it to make it drivable for us. And then that winter would have been 2017, I took the Sawzall to it, and I cut the entire back end of it wide open and lowered the floor, fabricated the ramp, and built the gas tank, aero relief suspension. Again, I bought the van out of Florida, fresh restoration, brought it up to Pennsylvania, and it was basically what you see with the side pipes and the wheels. I did do a lot of exterior detail work and kind of try to personalize it a little bit, but it was kind of how you see it. But it does have a new style 318 in it, so it's got like a 1999 5.2 Magnum motor in it, roller motor. It's carbureted, it's not fuel injected. So it has an Edelbrock intake on it. It has a 518 overdrive transmission, so it's super drivable going down the highway. It gets respectable mileage. I did put disc brakes on it a couple winters ago. Along with the disc brakes, the very next winter I did a Prius electronic steering upgrade, which makes it a lot more drivable than what it was when we first bought it. Again, the inside was already all painted yellow. It was a good base to start with. I didn't have to worry about restoring the whole van. Even though that's something that my dad and I could do, we've done it for years, it was nice to buy this. It was almost like buying a brand new van and cutting it apart and doing all the work to it and kind of concentrating on the whole reason for the build. So when I bought it, it had a factory back seat that was upholstered to match the front seats. And I pulled the back seat out of it, obviously, and decided to start cutting the floor out of it to do the conversion. So I made sure that the width of the frame rails and the depth of the van was what I needed to do in order to do the conversion. This is the transmission cross member right here, so I couldn't go any further forward, but I also had to make sure that I could service the vehicle underneath like a normal van. So I had to put a lot of thought into doing everything to make sure it would function, be safe, and then also be serviceable to work on as we put the miles on it. To date, we put about 9,500 miles on it. So, and we finished it really, 2018 was when I actually 100% finished it. So between 18, 19, 20, and now 21. So yeah, we put a lot of miles on it.
Now, the drop in the floor there, how did you manage that with everything underneath?
So what I did was I made a small cut in the floor and braced frame rail to frame rail in the back, because this is a unibody van. Mm-hmm. So being a unibody, that's the structure. The body of the van itself is the structure. So I welded brackets right across from frame rail to frame rail out of the way where they wouldn't be in my way during the build, and I could cut them out very last when I was done with the structure. So once I put the brace in there, I literally sawzalled out that opening as far as I could close to the frame rail and up to the transmission cross member, and then created a 1x2 090 wall thickness steel cage, essentially, that entire tray, that entire floor pan sits into. So when I cut the cross members out, I had to build something structurally sound that would hold the van in place and also be safe to mount the wheelchair mount to it. So the floor again is built out of the frameworks 1x2, and then the floor pans themselves, that's actually 3 pieces. I was able to do it in 3 pieces with the help of a local sheet metal shop. I don't have a brake big enough, so Gene Davis in Erie, I drew up everything on graph paper, and he did it all exactly the way I wanted. But there's one sheet in the floor, and then there's 2 sheets in the sides. And I guess there's one sheet in the front up here. And then I was able to plug weld all that to the cage that I welded in there, that framework underneath there, and body worked it all in and finished it all. Made sure I had all the mounting brackets are all double thickness for the floor tie downs and for the quick lock and all that. And then once I got all that body work done and got everything functioning, I took it to our friend Jim Franz at Line-X in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he Line-X'd the floor and Line-X'd the ramp and all that. But in the midst of doing all this work inside, I had to make sure that the gas, I had to build a custom gas tank, which that was completely, I had to design where to put the filler neck, where to put the fuel pump, and self-electric fuel pump in tank, the sending unit, obviously all the mounting brackets, had to clear the rear end, had to clear the differential. There's a spring assist on the ramp, had to make sure that there was room for that. Up underneath this side here in this cavernous space underneath the floor, there's my air compressor for the air ride for the rear, so it's got air compressor, the solenoids, and the compressor. Again, the compressor, the tank, the solenoids, all the wiring is all hidden, so you don't see any of that. In that corner over there, that's my main, everything, all the power comes in for that. So that's the power in and out and relays and fuse box for the air ride, for the tie downs, and for the quick lock, and for the rear solenoid on the ramp itself. So I wanted that, again, to all be hidden as possible and kind of off into the background. Unless you're laying under the van, you don't see a lot of that stuff. The van itself is pretty stock appearing, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted a hot rod that didn't look like a wheelchair van. So that was the goal. Again, it's a 318 with like E-body CUDA headers that then lead to the side pipes, which are full functioning side pipes. 15 by 10 wheels on the back, 295 tires, 15 by 5.5 in the front, 2 1570 tires. And this is, of course, this is Logan.
Hi, Logan. How you doing? You like the van or what? They're pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Very cool.
He said, I take good care of it. Yes, you do, kiddo. Yep. So he's the whole reason behind the project. Like I said, we enjoy going to car shows and cruises and stuff, but it was getting harder to get him around, so that's why I built this. So yeah, like I said, this is all, how you would configure kind of a new minivan, a new caravan or something, but they didn't make anything back in the 60s or 70s for these vans to get people in and out of them in wheelchairs and that. So I took the idea from the newer front wheel drive vans and put it into this rear wheel drive configuration here. And we're Mopar nuts. We have it's all Chryslers and Mopars and that. So it was like I had to build a Dodge. There wasn't going to be anything else to build.
Now how does this rent? Where does all this go? How does this all?
So this, I guess we could do it in backwards here. So this is would be just a bifold ramp. So this comes up with help of a spring assist. So I've got cables and pulleys that I designed that system, and I actually used overhead garage door springs you'd buy at just a hardware store. So this is about 75 pounds with the Line-X and everything on it, even though it's aluminum. And I needed something to help pull this closed. And I didn't want something inside the van, and I wanted to make it as clean as possible. So again, the garage door springs are under the van, right below the frame rails. They're enclosed in PVC tubing, so they don't rattle and make noise under the van. It's worked perfect since I did all that. So again, this closes up. It latches. That's locked in there. It can't come down. I've got these latch boxes here that I completely designed and built. These are bear claw latches for like street rods, right out of Speedway. And then in here for electronic solenoids, I used trunk latches off of like a 1985 Chrysler New Yorker trunk latch. So depending on which side I'm standing on, I can hit the button, and I can just, once I hit that button, that opens, and then that comes down. Oh, wow. So like, so simple, yeah, it took a little bit to figure out. And again, the math was tough to make sure I had the distance and the angles right, make sure when the doors were closed, everything is hidden. Perfect. So that'll close up, and then that rear valance used to be a cross member. That's, again, being a unibody, that was actually structural to the van. But in the midst of doing all this, when I cut that wide open, Now it's just garnish. Basically, it's bolted onto the ramp. It doesn't serve any purpose other than just to finish up, clean up the back of the van. So here, and then again, I bought the van restored and painted, but so I had to paint and blend in this whole back of the van. So this is still the paint that was on it when I bought it. This paint here, I painted from the stripe down, and had to finish all the body work and all that for that rear valance. So I was lucky that the paint was new enough and nice enough that I only had to do a little bit to it in order to do the, and it's Viper yellow, so it was an easy color to match.
Yeah.
Easy color to touch up for as much as we drive it, if it ever needs any touch up or anything. So, so if you want, I can roll him up inside and we can show you how it works.
Yeah. Great idea.
Ready, kiddo?
Mm-hmm.
So, got a little bit of gravel here. We're gonna roll you through. Whoop, scraped a little bit there, huh? So I usually have them out here, but there's a little bit of gravel.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all actual wheelchair tie down equipment out of a regular wheelchair van. I didn't want to use any kind of a cheap tie downs. So the whole system is what you would find in any commercial wheelchair van.
Okay.
So when I hit this switch, that alarm tells me that everything is unlocked. So I'm able to take these straps that now can come out to the chair, and when I shut that off, they latch like a regular seatbelt.
Yeah.
So if for whatever reason he should slip or slide or whatever, he can't roll back.
Nice.
So now there's an easy lock up there. So what he has is it's actually a 5/8 bolt under the chair, and that locks into that easy lock up inside there. Here again, as long as I'm driving correctly, he should pop into that lock, and he's locked in there now. And then I have straps that back in here. So here again, now he's locked in. Most commercial wheelchair buses, or vans and buses and stuff, that's all they use to hold them down, and that's acceptable. But I like to use the extra tie downs. These are all Q strength tie downs, which again are made for wheelchairs. So that locks on the floor. Locks on there, and then I have a lap belt that I put up over him here. So the lap belt comes around, ties him in there, and he usually has shoulder straps on when we're going down the road. I just didn't put them on for right now. So that all holds him inside, and then he's good to go. And then we just close up the back.
It's nice too. It's high enough you can see out.
Correct, and that's what I wanted. It was tough finding the right van because I wanted to find a window van that he could see on all sides. I don't want anything kind of a panel van or anything. I wanted it to be an actual window van. He's lowered down in the van so his line of sight is the same as mine. We're looking out the windshield and everything going on. People can see him. A lot of people have said, oh, you should tint the windows, but I want people to see him in there. So when we're going down the highway and that, people are always tooting and waving and thumbs up and everything. And then the guitar inside there, Logan is a huge, not only just a motorhead, but he loves music. He loves live music. We have a few people around town that we follow. Dan Baney being one of them. He loves guitars. He wants to know what kind of guitar somebody's playing and what amplifier they're using and all that. So it's given me ambition to try to learn to play a little bit. I haven't been as successful as I hoped, but that's something that definitely, like I said, that's because we take this van to go see live music quite a bit. So that was kind of the reason behind that. So, but that's an Eddie Van Halen reproduction Frankenstrat. It's left-handed. If people have a good eye, they realize that it's left-handed, and Eddie's was always right-handed. So that does make it a little bit unique, but it fit the area well, and he's a left-hander, I'm a left-hander, so it works out good. Okay, so now that he's latched in, he's got all his straps and tie downs and everything on him. This just all goes in reverse order, obviously. That locks him up in there. That latch is closed, so again, the ramp is locked separately, independently of the doors, and the doors just kind of close on their own. They don't actually hold the ramp closed like a lot of the new minivans do, which I didn't care for that design. I tried keeping the ramp out of view as much as possible. I would have liked to have kept it a little bit shorter, but I needed the extra length for the right angle to get everything to work. And from the back, again, other than just the two lines on the valance, it looks pretty stock. The hinge down below with the screws holding it on there. And the gas tank, again, I designed that to be as up close and tight as possible because, again, I didn't want it hanging down and being in your face from when you're behind it in traffic or whatever. I didn't want it to look as semi-stock as possible. And then again, everything just kind of works in reverse on the way out. So when I hit that switch, that unlocks the easy lock in the floor.
Okay.
So then I can roll him out, and that buzzer again just reminds me that he's unlocked, because you don't want to go down the road with him unlocked.
How cool is that? That's very, very well engineered.
Thank you very much.
Very cool.
And we have cycled this thing 1,000,000 times. Like I said, in the 9,500 miles or so, we've used this a lot. And that's why I put the spring assist on it, because I knew we'd be opening and closing it a lot. There's a lot of little things like the license plate lights. I use the Street Rod 2-wire button kit. So when that closes, the license plate light actually makes contact and lights up. I didn't want wires dangling between the two panels there. So. Real wood roof, all insulated, so it's not hot in the sun or anything. There's LED lighting in the roof. I put the LED third brake light on it because the last thing I want to do is ever see this thing get rear-ended. It does have rear LED tail lights in it. A friend of ours on Facebook, we've all bought a lot of parts from, Dan Beard. Dan makes a gas cap adapter that I bought, so it's got Charger CUDA style gas cap on it, which he's never came with, but with the right adapter that's custom made, you can do that. And the Super B just makes sense, like I said, because I do have a 71 Super B, so that all kind of fit the whole motif there of the Mopars and the Super Bs. So, and I got this for Logan there, because he's the hot rod. He likes to drive fast. We've had it down the drag strip a handful of times. Our local track up in Erie, airstrip and that. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's fun, and it's nice to drive. It's not too loud inside. The side pipes and the line X inside and everything, it does keep it at a mild roar when you're inside, where, you know, maybe going down the road at 70, it's not the greatest to talk to, but, you know, sitting at stoplights and that, we can talk, and it's not a big deal. Doesn't have air conditioning or heat yet. I haven't done that. I haven't got around to it. I find more use for the heat than I do the air conditioning sometimes, late nights in fall and in early spring. So for now, we just open up all the windows, and yeah, as long as those are open, there's plenty of breeze blowing through, and it works out really good. But yeah, it's worked out really well. Like I said, we put a lot of miles on it, and it's fun to drive. I said all the thumbs up going down the road, and I said the truckers are honking, and it's a good time for sure. It definitely, and it gets, you know, it's more than anything, it's attention. Logan loves people giving him compliments on the van, right, kiddo? Yeah, you love it when people tell you nice van and give you thumbs up, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of that. Oh yeah.
We've been invited to indoor car shows back in Erie, and you know, you get a lot of attention that way, and you know, it's just nice to give. It gives him ambition, wants to get out of the house, wants to go places, different car shows, outside music events, and things like that. If it's, you know, we do have a daily driver we use for rainy days and in the wintertime, you know, when the salt's out and that. We do live in Erie, so there's lots of snow and lots of salt. So this thing does not see any kind of inclement weather, but that's what we drive. That's what we have our Ford for. So we try to keep it out of the weather as much as we can. But so I spend a lot of time cleaning bugs off of it and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
Well, great. Well, thanks for showing it to us. We appreciate that, and thanks for showing up to the truck.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, lots of guys on Facebook have been inviting us for years. I've had friends that have been coming here since the 70s when they first started doing it, and we finally, like I said, had the weather and had kind of all the moons aligned to come down. So now that we're here, and we've been here once, got a little better game plan of how we want to, you know, come back in the future. Logan, like I said, Logan watches lots of YouTube, and we watch all the different van builds and that, and so he'll say, you know, Daddy, I want to watch vans on YouTube. So that's what we do, and
good deal.
And so, like I said, I'm sure we've seen a lot of your videos, guaranteed.
Good stuff. All right. Well, again, thanks for showing it to us, and We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
No problem. Thank you for the time.
All right.